The college football playoffs are here. We have made it. A quick round of applause.
I mean, it's been about time. We've been waiting all year.
We've been putting out like 5, 6 videos, 7 videos a week for the entire college football season, just in anticipation of these final rankings.
Yep.
And we finally got them. We got the matchups. So I just want to dive into it. We're going to be posting a lot of content on like specific aspects of what happened. You know, we'll talk Alabama. We'll talk, Texas, Georgia. We'll talk Clemson. We'll talk everything this week and the coming weeks as well. But right now, I just want to get our gut reactions to what we saw in the rankings and, what happened last weekend. So the rankings, I'm not going to read. I'm going to read the matchups instead. So Oregon got the 1 seed.
Yep.
They play the winner of the 8-9 Ohio State, Tennessee.
Jesus Christ.
I'm going to read out, and then we could react to it after. Georgia got the 2. They play the winner of Notre Dame 7, Indiana 10. Boise got the 3. They play the winner of Penn State 6, SMU 11. And Arizona State got the last bye at the 4 spot, playing the winner of Texas and Clemson.
Popcorn.
So
literal popcorn.
First, I want to go to Ryan. I think it's pretty obvious Ohio State got the hardest road here.
Yeah, not even close.
You could say Tennessee. You could say Tennessee got the hardest road, right? Because they have to go.
I was gonna say
they have to go
Tennessee
on the
first.
road. But I'm saying, as far as the teams that are hosting games, at least this has got to be the hardest path, right? Hosting Tennessee, probably the best team that's playing on the road in the first round, and then going and actually having to play the 1 seed. At a neutral site. So
No, it's what I've been saying. I've been saying this all year. I don't think the whole top 4 conference championships should get that for bye. I think they should get in the top 12, but it should be ranked accordingly to how good your team is.
I
completely agree.
How they did in the standings, like how the top 12 is.
What if they got buys, but there was reseeding?
What does that mean?
Like the 1 got to play the worst remaining seed.
But it wouldn't be almost no different.
That would be different.
Well, if all the
I'm saying, if all the favorites win, it wouldn't be different. But all I'm saying is, if, say, for example, the last seed, Clemson, beats Texas, right? Instead of Arizona State, who's the last team in, getting the easiest next round game, Clemson would be auto-reseeded to play Oregon. So then Oregon gets the easiest.
Yeah, so that only works if you're not re-ranking teams throughout, the rounds.
Reseeding.
Well,
the rankings stay the same; they don't change.
yeah.
rankings mean nothing. It's just winning games.
No, I'm
Rankings
saying
mean
reseeding. I'm saying a way you can do the playoffs is kind of like the way some fantasy leagues work, or even in I forget what sports do this, but some sports do this.
Used to be basketball.
Yeah, where they auto reseed, where
lowest ranked
whoever
plays.
the best
Oregon plays the
highest
worst
seed
team
is,
left in the
they play
rank.
whoever's the lowest
But
ranked.
that's what I'm saying is that's contingent on the rankings staying the same throughout the playoffs.
They do.
That
Well,
the
they
ones
do.
that
Nothing changes.
go
Why
into
would the
it.
the rankings never change.
Like if Ohio State loses, it's the 8th seed loss. Nothing's gonna change.
Oh,
It'll
okay.
be the same way until someone's a national.
Did you think there were new rankings that come out of this?
Well, I just thought in your scenario that would be how they would do it. Is they would have to re-rank and then based off the re-ranking, they would then reseed based off that.
No, but
and that's why I was so confused on.
No, I was just saying that's one way they could do this. But yeah, a lot of people have a problem with the
My
buys.
whole point is that Ohio State in no world is the 8th best team in the country. I don't think even anyone anyone thinks
I'll give
that.
you top 10, but no way.
That's how I agree. We're way outside. I don't we're making the playoffs. I'm just kidding. But I think we're way higher, and I just think because of this situation, it's gonna get really worse like this, where these really good teams that maybe just have bad games. Obviously, Michigan was terrible, but it might just be even conference games or teams that are really good in the SEC that don't make the conference championship get this weird spot like this and are just completely screwed. You are, Tennessee. I mean, we'll talk about the game and stuff. They are just completely screwed.
Yeah.
Even if you do beat Ohio State and you do beat Oregon and you do beat probably Texas or Clemson and then you have to play Georgia, that'll be the hardest thing anyone's done in the history of anything.
I mean, that's a hard route for sure. Yeah, one thing I think, I think Ohio State's fairly seeded. I don't have a problem with them being the 8 seed. I don't know if you were arguing that the 8 seed is too low for them.
No, I'm saying it should be ranked of the best teams in the country, regardless if you win a conference championship.
I
don't think
it gets
Boise
weird.
State winning conference championship is not more impressive.
Okay, but
Then it's not more impressive than the top 8 teams in the country.
It gets weird because your rankings don't matter. They don't correlate exactly to how the bracket goes. That's why it's so weird.
well, best
Right? It's
best would
because
have to be
Ohio State's actually 6.
that have to be completely objective though.
I was gonna say,
That's-
what would your
or
criteria
subjective,
be?
That's what I
for-
mean because to be completely honest, besides Notre Dame has more wins than Ohio State, right? But besides Notre
they're
Dame,
not
Ohio State doesn't
conference.
they have the worst loss of any team in the playoffs. They lost to, a 7-win Michigan team at home that they were 23-point favorites.
I mean,
for.
yeah.
No, so I'm just saying
Tennessee also has a
specifically
bad loss. I mean,
yeah, but specifically Ohio State, you're ranked out of Tennessee. you get the home game against them. I was saying their ranking feels fair for everything that happened this season.
I'm saying as a whole. I just think as a whole, it'd be way better if they ranked the best teams in order. I don't give a shit. You could change the buys. You could make it 16 teams where it's like there's no buys at all. But I just think it should be in order of the best teams. And just because you play in a shitty conference and had a Heisman winner that ran all over everyone and played nobody, and the only game you ever played you lost, you shouldn't be awarded the 3 seed and get a bye for doing nothing. Like,
I mean,
how do you feel about that?
There's, in my opinion, there's 20 better teams than Boise State, but unfortunately, there's only 12 in the playoffs.
No, I mean, I understand that. I just think that if you go down that route, it just gets into like a weird situation where it's like, what is the criteria? Because then you have all these teams that like Ohio State with 2 losses, Tennessee with 2 losses, like teams that we know are better than Boise State, that you're just like ranking ahead of them, and it's just like, well, why? Like, at the end of the day, they won their conference. They have a better record. Like, let's just keep it what it is. You might not agree with it, but to me, it's the most streamlined. Like,
but they're not ranked.
Well,
better.
actually,
they're not ranked better. They're only positioned better because of the bracket.
Well, that's the thing,
my whole
though.
point.
That's the thing, though, is that I was actually on your side, and I think I brought this up when Ty and I did the ranking video last week. Is I was making your argument where the top 4 people that should get the buys are literally just 1 through 4 in the rankings. But the problem with that is that if you do make the conference champions an auto bid in, that means they have to be a top 12, which means you're ranking them subjectively above teams that are probably better than them. Yeah. And would actually make it into a national top 12.
No, my argument was that they could have they could do exactly what they did this year, which you have your bids that get to make the college football playoffs. And then what they did on the left side where it shows all the rankings of 1 through 12, not the bracket, that's the order of how the bracket should work, in my opinion.
No, but again, you can't do that. But they won their keeping Boise State out.
But they get it. They got it.
No, he's saying they'd get it.
So what Clemson did, I'm arguing for. So Clemson gets nothing. They get the 12 seed because they're ranked the 12th best, and they're not a top 4 bye, and they won their conference. They got awarded for winning the conference, even though having 2 losses and
3 losses.
3 losses, which is terrible. And they're in the playoffs.
We made history, by the way. Shout out Clemson, first team to ever make the college football playoffs with 3 losses.
So. All I'm arguing is that what they did to Clemson, I think they should do with
making history.
Making history. No, so I see your point, and I don't have a problem if that's what they want to do in the future. One thing I did, I don't love the idea that essentially makes. I think they'd have to expand the playoffs if they do that, because that makes conference championship games very, very minus EV to play.
Yeah.
Like, if you're ranked 3 before going to a conference championship game, you literally should just then not play your conference championship game, continue to be ranked 3, and get a bye in the playoffs. Right? So, like, that changes what their teams are, striving for in the season. I like the way it is, to be honest. I don't have an issue with it. This is kind of what I've been saying all year. I'm on the side with Mario, where this feels like it's what they expanded the playoffs for. I don't think they expanded the playoffs to get the 12 best teams in the college football playoffs. I don't think that was the goal, right? With the 4-team playoff, they made it very clear that it has nothing to do with your,
championships.
Or with championships, your schedule, not schedule, your record overall, because Florida State was 15-0, teams with 1 loss got in over them. They were just like, this is the 4 best teams getting the playoffs.
Yeah.
With the 12-team playoff, there's a 100% chance the 4 best teams in the country are somewhere in this mix.
Yeah.
There's a 100% chance. This is just allowing, other schools who performed excellent during the year probably are not as good as, a lot of the SEC teams that got kicked out. Like, would Bama probably beat Boise State? Sure. But does Boise State deserve it more than Bama? I think so.
To quiet the fan bases, so to speak, right?
I think I think it's what people want to see. I mean, I saw a lot of people on ESPN.
Again, remember, that's not my argument at all.
No, I'm not talking about your argument. I'm just talking about the playoffs in general. I said I wouldn't mind your argument. I think just the way you said would make conference championships very undesirable.
But I said it's still automatic bid is what my argument was.
No, I know, but if you're not, say Texas at the 2 seed, right? They were an automatic bid. They're getting in the playoffs whether they play that game or not. So if they don't play the game, they're automatically a bye.
Well, how would they not play the game? They'd have to lose previous games.
No. You could just opt out of playing the conference championship game. Just not show up. That's what SMU was debating doing. The SMU coach said,
I've never heard that in my life. I've never heard of anyone opting out of a conference.
Because there's never been a reason to.
Yeah.
There's never been a situation. SMU's coach said, if all of our players get COVID, or like quote unquote get COVID, and don't show up to play this game, we forfeit to Clemson. We are in the college football playoffs. Like, he said that before the game. He's like, but if there's ever, like, so given that, if we play and
every
lose.
SEC champion had that same argument when Georgia plays Bama in the SEC championship? and it's like
That the
undefeated
loser
versus
could
undefeated.
then-
Why wouldn't they're both in theoretically? Or Georgia was one, and the only way they get out is if they lose, like they did at whatever. Well, I think it was last 2 years ago.
Last year.
I'm
with
like,
Bama.
why wouldn't you just not go to the conference championship and be the number 1 seed?
Because
But
I don't
Georgia
think-
had a loss last year. They needed that win.
No, I'm saying there's been 8 years of this where it's been undefeated versus.
No, but there's never been situations where there's any auto bids for winning the conference, and it was completely subjective who the top 4 were. So I'm sure if a team opted out of playing a conference championship to try to like game the system, I doubt that would be looked on favorably.
Beneficial.
I'm saying I think it
Yeah.
would be the same way in my opinion. Like are you one of the best teams? You're afraid to play. You're
So
afraid of a loss.
Yeah, I mean, regardless, that's not the situation right now. But I'm happy with the way the rankings went.
I like it.
I'm happy that Bama got left out. I don't think they deserve to win. I don't think any.
I said they wouldn't be in.
Yeah, I don't think putting a 3-loss team in that didn't play in a conference championship makes sense.
Yeah.
Like if you had 2 losses, like for example, if Georgia lost last week to Texas and that was their 3rd loss, I think Georgia for sure should still get in, even without winning a conference championship. They're clearly one of the best teams. They played an extra game. But winning 9 games, you need to have double-digit wins, in my opinion, to make the college football playoffs.
While I agree Georgia 100% should be in the playoffs, isn't it like a weird conversation to have where like you can compare Georgia this year to Florida State last year, where arguably Florida State had a better like season. They went undefeated in the regular season. Georgia has 1 loss, and they both lost their starting quarterbacks, which significantly
2 losses.
deep. Well, even more so in my case.
But they won their conference.
But then,
Yeah.
so did Florida State. They beat Louisville.
But I'm saying, if you win the conference, you can't even potentially be out this year.
No,
There's
I know
12 teams.
that.
Yeah, it's not even a decision they had to make.
I was. I think I'm. Well, okay. Yeah, never mind.
You know what I mean?
Never mind. Yeah, I see what you're saying. I was speaking more of just the terms of like ranking, just the actual like pure ranking because they have Georgia at 2.
I mean,
which I think is deserved because they beat Texas.
I was gonna say,
But
we saw the
again-
backup play against the
And-
top team versus
So-
Florida State played
That's the biggest
nobody,
difference.
and
Yeah.
they Jordan Travis played all the hard games,
but
and
they still won, right? So
Yeah, but
like
they
even
played-
with their backup, they
But they
still
played.
won.
run-
They played
they can hand
Louisville.
the ball off.
They played. I mean, don't get me wrong. I was a big advocate of putting Florida State in the playoffs last year,
Mm-hmm.
but Georgia still played the number at the time.
I'm not
2
arguing
team
Georgia
NBA.
shouldn't be like in the playoffs in any way, shape, or form.
No,
I
no,
just
I'm
thought
saying
it was
the-
an
the
interesting
2 ranking.
conversation to
yeah,
have.
yeah.
Yeah,
Like I don't know who would
exactly. The
I don't
two
know who
ranking.
would be ranked ahead of them
That's
because
fair.
Texas is 3.
Yeah.
and they just beat Texas.
And you can't put Penn State because they just lost, right?
well, there's
And then Notre Dame, you can't
Definitely
really talk
can't
about
put Penn
because
State.
you
they
can't-
beat one ranked team,
and you
They
can't
won
talk
one.
about Notre Dame because they didn't play a game, so that's not a data point.
Yeah,
you
I mean,
can
there's
add
no
to it.
possible team that could be
Exactly.
ranked ahead of Georgia besides Oregon.
Okay,
But
just thought it was an interesting conversation to have.
yeah, no, for sure. And then I guess does anyone have an issue before we wrap up with any of the teams that missed it not getting in?
Army, I think Army should be in. I don't know how. I don't know
Over
who
who?
they should replace. I don't know who they should replace. But Army has
As
had a
a
hell of
you're
a
just joking
season.
now.
No, I mean,
Played
yeah.
one, it was like any other team. They played one good game and they got fucking waxed.
I mean, yeah, but look at the rest of their season. Look at
They
what
played
they did
nobodies.
with
Put
like,
Memphis in then. Why doesn't
minimal
Memphis, why doesn't Memphis go
NIL.
in?
2 losses.
Well, you're right, but
Oh,
like
my bad.
minimal NIL. They have like just pure.
You say NIL for the Army?
They have like minimal, if none, maybe
None.
none.
Zero.
Yeah.
See, even better. A lot of walk-ons.
Well, I mean,
they're a pure team.
If you
It's
look
like,
at
it's
the
great.
military
Like-
budget now,
Potential. Stay with me.
I mean,
Dude,
they could
what-
unlock something
No,
big.
When do we get a space force?
South Carolina got absolutely robbed. That's not. I'll
That
never
was
get.
the
I'll
only
never get off
team
that hill.
Over who? SMU?
I mean, yeah. I like.
SMU was the last seed in.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it's just like.
That's
yeah,
interesting.
It's a tough
That's a
situation,
tough
but
one.
you put the hottest team in. It's tough the way they rank
If
it.
they didn't miss that field goal against LSU, man,
or have their quarterback injured.
get injured,
For
they would
the half
have. They
game.
would have.
That's what I'm saying. So like, there's a lot. I don't know. I just feel like if there was a team that did get robbed, maybe there's nothing they could do about it.
Yeah.
But South Carolina being the hottest team in football.
No, I mean, I kind of agree with Tyler's take, even though I personally think I kind of agree with you. But if you're not a double-digit win team and you weren't like, and you didn't get that like that third loss like in a conference championship, it's
You
just
don't
really
deserve
it's
it.
hard. It's just hard to put you in.
Yeah.
Clemson's only won and they won their conference championship, so they.
Yeah,
get
I
in.
mean, like,
So it's it's tough. It is tough.
the SEC like went from a conference of dominate, like there were teams that were legitimately dominant, like we'll play anyone anywhere, to like complaining and whining about strength of schedule when they went like when these teams went 5
And
and
we'll have
3.
the Alabama conversation.
They went 5-3 in their own conference. So I'm talking about like South Carolina and Ole Miss too.
Yeah.
Like they're going 5-3 in their own conference, just above 500, and they're like complaining they're not ranked inside. That's like, come on. I get it's hard, but you win your games then.
Yeah.
Don't lose to Oklahoma.
Yeah.
Don't lose to Oklahoma and you're in.
Yeah.
No one cares.
I agree.
Like, yeah. So
The one interesting thing I kind of noticed though is like Ryan's team, Ohio State, Clemson, Texas, Ryan Day, Dabo, Steve Sarkisian. What do they all have in common?
They suck.
Their coaches are not outwardly racist. LSU, Brian Kelly, our coach is outwardly
That's a good
racist.
point.
We missed the
Yeah,
playoffs.
that's a
I'm
good
just
point.
saying,
Homophobic,
he's
too.
trying to set the narrative.
I'm
He's
just
been doing it
saying,
for weeks.
I'm seeing a pattern here. We're the only team that missed the playoffs on this dais, and our coach.
Yeah.
I mean, we haven't had the Brian Kelly conversation, or maybe LSU.
We can have
has
it in the offseason.
Yeah.
We can have it in the
Bro,
offseason.
I mean,
internal talks.
That's screw everything. How have we not talked about Clemson versus Texas?
I mean, hook
These
'em
are our
on,
two.
baby.
This is the
Hook 'em
Clemson. The
fucking
Tech.
on.
This is everything. That is the greatest. That was the greatest moment.
Initial reactions.
That was the greatest
When
moment.
you saw
in
the
college
when you
football
saw,
history.
how do you feel? How you feeling?
Very calm. I think if there was one matchup that I didn't want to get. I didn't know if we were talking about it now or we want to
I
get.
wanted
into
to
it.
start-
I mean, we're gonna make a whole video on
I
it
know, but it
next
was the
week.
initial
No,
reaction.
No, just initial
Like when we
reaction.
actually
My
preview
initial
stuff.
reaction.
When you saw it go,
I was
Texas.
I
Oh,
was,
it's
I was
illegal.
I was overjoyed. It's the one team I think we have really, really, really good matchups against, top to bottom. Texas, their offense has been horrible. They haven't been able to score on anyone, really.
True.
You saw this last week. You saw it the week before. You saw it the first time they played Georgia. You saw it any time they played any. I get they've only played one ranked team as Georgia. They played them twice, lost twice. But if they played like teams that were borderline ranked, like Mike said, a hard game for them was Vanderbilt, 6-6. They
You
weren't
guys would
really
get
able to. They weren't really able to score that many points that game. So I like our defense's chances with the D line. We held a really, really high powered offense in SMU for the majority of the game, and then my favorite part, and I'm going to get into this more next week when we talk about it, but it's just the fact that Cade Klubnik gets to go back to Austin, Texas,
Oh my
where
god.
you want me to finish?
No, yeah, please.
Where he dominated playing high school football. He's played Quinn Ewers throughout his high school career. Cade Klubnik's never lost a game to Quinn Ewers. He's won
written in the
multiple
stars.
state
Where's the
championships.
one?
Quinn Ewers left high school early, reclassified to sit the bench at Ohio State, then transfer. Quinn Ewers since then has still never won a playoff game. Every playoff game he's played, he loses. It's a thing. He plays really bad in these games. Cade actually elevates. He's beat Quinn 100% of the time. Now they're going back to Austin to get the rematch.
Storybook.
4 years in the making to go to their hometown and play where they did in high school 3 times, and Cade won all of them. So that's what I'm really looking forward to.
Mike,
that
how
was
do
my
you feel?
initial reaction.
How do you feel, Mike?
So I mean, I felt like Texas can beat anybody that we face up against in the first round. I think the real matchup would have been Ohio State. But I think it's more, it's more exciting to have a Clemson Texas matchup
yeah.
because I think
I get what you're saying. You were saying it would have been a good matchup because we're. A
Oh,
better
it would,
team.
yeah, it would have been a
Okay, I was
much
Just
more
saying,
even
how in the world
matchup.
would
Yeah,
Ohio
it
State?
would have
It
been
would've been
possible,
much-
but it would have just been a great match.
Will be a much more even matchup. But again, I think it's a lot more exciting for me to just walk over, Texas to walk over Clemson
I
in the
like
first
that.
round, and then we just meet Ohio State in the semifinals after they beat Oregon, which would be freaking awesome. And then, we just walk over them and then we win the Natty. And it's like, I take down everybody on the pod. But again, I think I love this scenario because it's the only way that we can individually take down, the other two members that are in this actual playoff race. So this is a great scenario for me. I also love that,
Georgia's on the other side of the bracket.
no, I don't care. Georgia's out of this race now that Carson Beck is out.
They didn't have Carson back against you in the second half.
Played better.
Again, we'll talk about that in depth instead of making this a 35-minute episode or video right now. But I really,
Mid-episode
really,
complaining about the time.
It's like 18 minutes.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna get into it.
He's not getting into
No,
it.
we know you.
PTSD.
Yeah.
It's the same reason he's not going to specifics about Clemson. You notice what he said in the game. He goes, "I'm really excited to walk over them and then get to walk over Ohio State, and then we just walk over." You'd think Texas would have won an SEC championship before or a college football playoff game before.
A ranked game.
Did you know in the history of the college football playoff, it's been around for, I believe, 11 years now. Texas has never won a game.
Yeah.
In 11 years,
That's impressive.
They've never
Yeah.
won a game. And
Our-
Mike is just
Our
glossing
football
over.
program has been terrible until the past 2 years.
What did you do last year?
Last year we made it to a playoffs.
Did you,
in
win
a 14
did you win a game?
No, but you guys didn't even make it. We made it to a fucking dance.
What does that
you
have
can't
to
keep
do?
having that conversation with it.
What does that have to do with anything?
Just
You
to
guys-
make it and lose? Like, oh,
Like,
look at us.
congrats.
Yeah,
You
I mean, we
did
made
it.
it. We
First
made
one
it
out.
We
First
made
one
it.
out. Look at us.
We made it further in that race.
That's
than you
on
guys.
dang.
Yeah.
They made it further. They made it
We
further.
got it.
Bro, you
That's
can
tough.
talk about us losing, but you guys literally couldn't even make it to the competition.
What-
You guys couldn't
Okay.
qualify for that competition.
They couldn't qualify.
How many natties do you have in the college football playoffs?
I'm talking about last year and
Why
this year.
does that
Like
matter-
I said,
why does that matter for
you
this
said
year?
for the past 11 years,
Yeah, well,
we
so-
haven't won playoffs. You're right because
that is
we
true.
haven't
So what
been
does
good.
last year have to do with anything about this year?
Yeah.
I'm talking about natties that won in the past. You're talking
It's-
about last season in the past. You didn't win shit last season either.
You're right.
So why? What is special about last year specifically?
I just think we made it further. I think it's
So
something
then when I
it's a
bring up
talking
other
point.
seasons where you didn't make it further, you go, oh, that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
No, it matters for sure. Again, I think we're doing better.
Matter.
Can anyone? Let's transcribe this. No, so last season matters, but nothing else besides last season.
Hey, dog.
matters.
Honestly,
God, I can't wait for this game. Holy
100% of this gets held in 2 weeks when we beat Clemson's ass by 35.
And the belt.
Trey Wisner, I don't care what you guys think
What
you
did
saw.
he do last
I don't
game?
care what you think you saw last week. He is going to be rushing for 175 rushing yards. Quinn's going to throw for 3
That'd be
touchdowns,
170
over 350
rushing
yards.
yards more than he
We're
had
going
last
to
year.
absolutely dominate them, and our defense is going to shut them down for maybe. Actually, you guys might get 10 points. You might get 10 points when we put our third stringers in the fourth quarter, and you guys get a lucky end of the game touchdown.
He's already,
it doesn't
he's already
matter.
predicting an
This
early
is-
exit for Quinn. I want that on the. Someone tag this. Someone tag this. I also think that's going to happen. We're
Yeah,
in
Arch
agreement.
will get his snaps in the playoff game.
He's gonna-
100%.
He's gonna need to.
He'll get his snaps
Early and
because
often.
down.
Early
They
and
He'll get his
often.
snaps because we're up by so much, and,
Oh, I
we'll,
love
and
this.
we'll want to rest Quinn.
love this.
Early and
We'll also
often.
get Kelvin Banks back. We don't have to play with Trevor Gooseby, who I think played phenomenal. But
I
you
thought we
know,
weren't getting into it.
no, we're not getting into
not
it.
getting
We're not
into
getting
it.
into it. We're
But
not getting into
Texas
it.
by 40.
Hook 'em horns, baby.
It's crazy
Hook 'em
'cause,
horns.
like-
I love this.
You know,
I love this.
One of
Texas
us-
head to head against
Anyone.
Clemson. You know,
Any ranked
It's
team.
never happened. This is the first game they've ever played against each other.
Yeah.
Ever in history. Yeah, what do you know about history?
Yeah, what do you
between
know
the two of
about
them?
history?
Shut up, you're bringing up stupid shit.
I didn't say anything.
Wow, Mario's getting shots thrown at
No, I
him
mean
too.
Mike's just a sensitive little girl.
What
It's
do-
okay.
I just want the viewers
I
to
say
know.
this is cool. It's Clemson versus Texas. He goes, "What do you know about history? This is the first time we've played."
No, I just
No,
want
you
the
literally
viewers.
said-
I want the
What did I
viewers
say?
to look at.
Yeah.
You know,
And yeah, you'll
I
see.
actually think this
down, little guy.
conversation is very similar to how both of the teams feel about the situation. Yeah. You know, one side is very calm. You know, we've been there before.
No, yeah.
This is Dabo's, I think, 9th playoff appearance.
I'm not worried.
7th, 8th, or 9th. I don't
I
know,
am
something
not
like
worried.
that. And we're pretty. You know, we've been there before. We've won games. We've won natties. The other side, I mean,
They
they're
don't know what to do.
scrambling.
They don't know what to do.
Look at the spread. We made it last year. Look at what do you know about history?
They're just
Yeah.
looking for anything just to fight. You
Yeah,
know?
no,
Just like-
this is just the perfect. They're the Cowboys of college football. They're the
Hook 'em
Cowboys
horns,
of college
baby.
football.
Hook 'em horns, baby.
Hook 'em horns, baby.
We'll show them all.
Let's go,
We'll
baby.
show
I
'em
love
all.
that he said Ohio State versus
We'll show 'em
Texas
all.
would be a more even matchup. That was my
Yeah, because
favorite.
Clemson's fucking puppy water.
Puppy water.
Puppy.
They're terrible.
Last week, Georgia
What's the
What's
reported.
there?
difference between
You-
regular
you-
dog
they're
water
all-
and puppy
seriously,
water?
like if you listen to what he said,
Hey, but
like if you don't know the records or like how they played against other teams, you'd think Texas was undefeated or beat a ranked team. Who do you think has beat more ranked teams this season, Clemson or Texas? Like if you
curious
listen
what-
to what he's saying, you would think Texas would just have so many more ranked wins.
Yeah.
They don't have one.
I'm
ranked
genuinely curious. You could shut me up right now. What is the Clemson Georgia head-to-head record?
win all time.
I'm just curious. Just curious.
I don't know. Do you want me
Genu- yeah,
you want me
pull it
to
up,
Google
please.
it?
I'm like genuinely
lost the
curious.
last
Because
3
again,
years.
like I said, you could shut me up right now. I want to know.
What does that have to?
I just want to know.
Yeah, the game's in 1970. You know,
The last couple of years has been Georgia's side.
Georgia 27,
48.
27 to
No, it's
7 and
48,
1.
43, 18, and 4. Apparently, they have 4 ties. I don't know.
Interesting.
What does that have to do with anything?
No, just curious.
I mean, Clemson was really bad for like 40 years. I don't.
Yeah, no, I was just curious.
Oh, I'm
This-
this is gonna be the greatest game. This might be the
This
greatest
is-
game in
this is
history.
what he does.
Hey, Mike,
I
who
was
won
scared.
last time?
As soon as-
LSU Texas played.
LSU.
Oh, okay.
No, this is what he does. Did you notice the question I asked
No, I
him?
just wanted to know.
No,
That's
did
all.
you notice the
That's
question
all.
I asked
was
him
an
and how he
out-of-conference
redirected?
game, like 3
I said,
years ago.
how many ranked wins
4
does
years ago.
Texas
I just wanted to
have?
know. I just wanted to
He
know.
said What is Clemson, Georgia's all-time record since inception? As the response to how many ranked wins does Texas have?
No, I was just
This
curious.
is what these people do.
No, they gotta find a win.
No,
somehow.
it's like it's a misdirect. It's always like
It's not
look-
even his
Don't
team,
look
it's
behind
Georgia.
this door, but look how great this looks over here. You see the Lambos. Don't look at the losses. It's like that's Texas recruiting, and it works for him. So
Dude, Texas.
hey, there it is. There's the rankings. We have a lot of content coming this week. Let us know what you think in the comments.
Didn't talk anything about
It's gonna
that.
be electric. We got a lot coming up. We'll see you
potentially
on
in
the next
Austin.